What's good, everybody?
What up?
Welcome to the Cannabis Closet. We got a pinner episode happening. I can't hear anything because ain't nobody in my
Hi.
ears.
Yep, I think I'm ready.
You ready?
I don't know. I got all my
Perhaps.
books. Okay.
So, well, we're here by ourselves right now, so we'll just hang out for a second. We'll put that CQLC banner up just in case anybody wants to know who we are and where to find us.
Nice.
Give it a few minutes and we'll do some headlines as soon as we get some folks in here. Oh, I didn't share this with the Discord. What's up? What's up? How are you today? Let's share this in the Discord too.
Oh yeah, see if any of our peoples come through. We haven't been as vocal about and reminder about our work Wednesdays. I think that we just kind of throw it in there amongst our talking.
I forgot to post anything today, and now I'm like posting it last minute. So thanks for joining us. It is 4:21. It's 4:21. It's almost 4:22. So if you have something rolled up or packed up, go ahead and hit that bowl, hit that joint. This unusual.
Solita.
I'm usually with a King Palm, but I'm running low today, so I got
my
glass.
Misplaced it must be at Sisters, my container of what was left of those the minis.
Yeah, you ordered a bunch of them, huh?
Yeah, we hammered them. We definitely went through them.
Yeah, we
did. That weekend.
We were pro smokers. It was Revolution. What do you want to do? It was Reggae on the Rocks. It was an amazing weekend.
If we did our sum total of what we Morocco.
They took our mushrooms though. I didn't even understand that because I started thinking about all the things that they don't check at the door, like your wallet, like you know what I'm saying? And then if you're a girl and you got something in your purse, they take that out. But if you were a dude with a wallet, they would have never checked your wallet.
No, it was kind of lame the way that
I'm gonna tell you, I still got a problem. What was her name? Shauna.
Sandra.
Shauna. Her name was Shauna. She touched a person on the way out, and I was like, "You are lucky that wasn't me," because me and Shauna would have had to go rounds. Like, honestly,
Shauna was on a power trip. I bet Shauna works that job specifically for her power trip. Not for the music, not because she gets to chill with some awesome people, but seriously, just so she can be like, no, that or to steal people's medicine.
To steal people's mushrooms, bitch. So my issue with her was, that she stole our mushrooms and appeared to have thrown them away, but whatever. Sure you did. You shouldn't have, Shauna, out there. If you ever hear this, you should have taken them because you need them more than anybody I know. But okay, maybe not anybody I know, but on the top of the list. So I think we've told this story before, but right after the concert happened, but on the way out, it was the second night. And on the way out, first of all, it was the second night, and on the way in, Shauna got attitude with me. Me and Shauna, we wasn't gonna vibe. And I was trying real hard. I was like, hey, how you doing? So we're at the front of the line. So there's nobody ahead of us that has already tried her patience or her nerves. We are the first people through her line. And you can't bring anything into the venue like a bottle of water or whatever. You can't bring that stuff. So I went to go throw mine away, and she got loud with me like, that's a bag. Like, I didn't know a book bag was a bag that she needed to check. Like, I'm an idiot, right? Because Shauna, don't talk to people that way. You liable to get punched in your lip. I know that this is a bag. We're clear on that. Okay. And so I was like, Shauna, bring it down. I said it to her straight to her face. I was like, Shauna, bring it down. I'm just throwing a bottle of water away. I know that this book bag is a bag. Okay. So this is my second encounter with Shauna in 2 days. So on the way out, there's this young cat, and he's got his beverage that he's going to chug before he leaves, and he's right there at the trash can. And he's going to chug this drink before he leaves and then throw the can in the trash can. But Shauna doesn't want to see that happen. So Shauna rips the can out of this young man's hand and throws it in the trash. Now, first of all, I just want to say that alcoholic beverages at Red Rocks are not cheap. Okay. Yep. Let's just start there. So you just threw my money away? No, ma'am. She's lucky he was a young cat, because honestly, somebody older and more experienced would have popped that bitch in her lip. Honestly, I just don't, I'm not trying to be violent or aggressive or anything, but you don't snatch things out of people's hands. And if it had been me, she would have had a lawsuit on her hands, because you're not going to touch me when I'm not doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, though I have seen some airline steward just like snatch fucking cups out of people's hands when they're like trying to end the day, and it's just like,
nah.
Is it that big of a deal that you have to get my cup into the garbage right now? Like
y'all won't even get up and walk to get the trash if there's anything even remotely turbulent about the plane. So I don't know why that's an issue either. But some of these people that are given a little bit of power and authority take it a hair too far. And you need to be careful, because some of y'all also have gotten used to being right behind a keyboard and saying and doing what the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna let you know that does not fly in the real world. I'm gonna let you know straight. Don't put your hands on me. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Don't you do it.
And don't just touch you with your mouth.
You don't touch me. You know what? Whatever you need to express, you can express it verbally, and we'll decide whether or not you're being too disrespectful at that point. That's all I'm saying. So let's do some headlines now that we got a little bit of a
you have threw that one at me, a little follow-up from the CDC.
So
FDA.
We should start there, because that's actually pretty current to what we've just recently talked about. We did a show, was it 2 weeks ago, right? On was it it wasn't last week. Last week was something else.
Monday was our we just did
your rights, your voting rights,
voter suppression.
That's what we did. I'm about to post that on the other platforms, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and such. So it's in the queue to be posted. It's going to go up today. So the FDA and the CDC are issuing warnings on Delta 8 THC products derived from hemp. Remember, I put that in quotation because remember, the science tells us that that these things might be derived from Delta 9 and not from anyways. But so the FDA and CDC on Tuesday, that's yesterday, issued warnings to consumers about the potential risks of the cannabinoid Delta 8 THC, a psychoactive compound that is grown in popularity but exists in a very gray area, and especially gray area. Lawmakers have specified that hemp is only federally legal if it contains no more than 0.3% Delta 9 THC, the most commonly known and naturally occurring cannabinoid. Remember, that's the difference between hemp and cannabis, only by law, because they're related. They like really close cousins. It's ridiculous. Anyways, there's a general lack of rules governing Delta 8 THC, which is synthesized using CBD from legal hemp. So there's a little gray area there, right? But they're starting to take notice at the availability and growing demand for Delta 8 being sold in all states, regardless of whether or not they have legalized cannabis. Agencies, uptick. Oh, this is important. And the agencies say they're seeing a significant uptick in reported adverse health effects from people who are using it. So that's what they're saying. I'm on the fence with FDA and the CDC, honestly.
Yeah,
they lie to us so much.
What do you mean? How are we documenting it? How's it being?
Yeah. So they lie to us so much.
What questions are they being asked?
But on the other hand, this is a synthesized product that is not regulated on the like it's not on a regulated market, it's in an open market, and that open market is very loose. It's very they don't have to necessarily test it. So companies that do testing and do their due diligence are more companies that I would trust. This is what I say about CBD when we talk about CBD, hemp CBD on the open market. I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm a little bit leery about Delta 8. I am, because it is a synthesized product and we need more testing, and we need to know what's going into the cartridges, what's going into the edibles, what's going into the everything, right? Says that the agency says that Delta 8 products are being labeled as hemp, which could mislead consumers who are seeking a non-intoxicating cannabinoid from the plant. Don't get it twisted. Delta 8 is different from Delta 9 because of where the double carbon is, right? The double carbon, where that's located. It's located in the same space. It's just moved up instead of onto the side. So anyways, I'd have to show you a picture of it. If we still have that picture in the queue, we could pull that up, but I'm not sure if we do. So some of the symptoms: vomiting, hallucinations, trouble standing, loss of consciousness. Here's the thing. If you are consuming Delta 8, understand that it's considered less potent than Delta 9, but it still does seem to have the psychoactive effects that Delta 9 does have, with less anxiety. That could be because it's actually a less potent cannabinoid, or it could be because of the presence of Alivitol, which is not present when Delta 9 and is known to kind of suppress the cannabinoid a little bit. So that could be the reason why it's less potent. Just understand that we could still overconsume these cannabinoids. We want to take it low and slow, no matter what we're using or what decisions we as adults choose to make for ourselves and for our health.
Just because it is hemp derived at times does not mean that it is any less potent. I have a common saying all the time of, I don't use cannabis, I use CBD. I don't use marijuana, I use hemp.
It's cannabis.
Thank you. Just want to say that again.
And those of you watching this show, hemp is cannabis, cannabis is hemp. They all fall under the same umbrella, Cannabis Sativa L. So Cannabis Sativa L encompasses hemp, Ruderalis, which is a low THC autoflower type, high CBD, but it's not considered 0.3% or less by law. So Ruderalis is a little bit different from hemp. It's a little bit of a mixed breed, if you will. Sort of, it has characteristics from the hemp plant and from the medicinal cannabis plant. So that would be Indica sativa. And if you know, and you've been watching me long enough, you know that we sorry, I always point the wrong way. We don't actually vibe with the terms indica and sativa. That just happens to be the terminology being used, and we want to keep it as
and there she says by
understandable
law,
as possible.
By law, a percentage number was determined. It's not that that's what is
by uneducated people.
It is not a limit. It is not.
It is not even like
plant.
Right. Hemp has varying levels of THC depending on the cultivar, and i.e. strain, cultivar and strain. So it has different levels. And also, side note, THC helps with stress relief. And guess what? The cannabis plant also uses THC to relieve stress. So if the hemp plant that is grown outdoors in the weather is stressed out, the THC in that plant might spike in order to help relieve some of the stress in the plant and help it
kind of like our endocannabinoid system.
Imagine
that.
I'm tired of lawmakers making laws that don't make sense. Like the 0.3, it just doesn't make sense. That law doesn't make sense. It's not based. What did you base it in?
Well, it's the same as them trying to change, again, the verbiage between cannabis and marijuana. Right. That they are different, and they are not, except one is I don't use term and the other is scientific.
Yes.
Yay.
So that's just a quick update. I'm not going to read the whole article. You can find it at marijuanamoment.net. It's marijuanamoment.net is where I got this article from. Actually, I got it. My husband sends me articles, you guys. It's so great. He sends me some articles sometimes. And he was watching the show the other day and heard us talking about this. So when this story came across, he shared it with me. So the CDC and the FDA are looking into Delta 8. Just be aware of that. While it's available legally, I don't know, that's a loose term. While it's available on the open market right now, it may not continue to be available based on whatever findings they have. And honestly, you know, you guys share this feed as much as possible. Share it with your lawmakers. Share it with everybody, because I would really love them to hear my voice. Y'all need education about cannabis. I understand that part of this is the feature, not the flaw. It's part meant to keep us down and keep us stigmatized. This is a problem of prohibition. Delta 8 is a product of prohibition. Delta 8 is almost completely it just started showing up in Colorado. I see it in a couple of like the CBD stores and stuff, but really I didn't even hear about Delta 8 until I went to a place that didn't have legalized or accessible cannabis. And so now we're adding stuff to our plant to create different molecules so that we can make an offering to the, it's just
so we can have access. Right. Exactly. So we went through all of these hoops to regulate a natural plant, so we had to, for us to access
an organic natural plant,
regulate it. Okay.
And with regulations, by the way, you guys, with regulations that make sure that we have to list all ingredients, make sure that we have to get testing, make sure that there's no residual pesticides left behind, like really regulated plant, right? Why doesn't it make sense to do that in your state?
But you can allow unregulated processes to go through that take that natural plant into another state.
Right. And blame it on the main culprit, which is cannabis. So you found a way to make us evil. We're not evil. We're organic. Don't panic. It's organic. That's us. Right? We didn't change the product. You put some people in a position to feel like they had a necessity to change the product. And now we have a synthesized product that could potentially be dangerous to consumers. Why? Because it's not a regulated product and there's no regulations for testing.
There's no efficacy. If you were talking that, we have to say that we don't have any efficacy to, there's no proven efficacy for cannabis, then there's definitely not enough testing and research at this time.
There is proven efficacy of cannabis, by the way. Y'all look at the studies coming out of Israel.
I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying for the audience, y'all, there is the studies there's plenty of studies out of Israel that will tell you everything you need to know about cannabis. Cannabis can actually, I'm making this statement on our show, and y'all can come after me if you want to, but cannabis, it's been proven that cannabis can actually treat all types of cancer. It can treat and put you into remission for all types of cancer. It's about how you use the cannabis, what cannabinoids you're using, what levels you're using them as, and every different cancer has a slightly different formula. So if you have breast cancer, then you're going to use a slightly different formula than you would if you had some other type of cancer. We use the same formula here because we've been so limited in our testing in the United States since 1936, right? Is that right? 36. I want to say 36 is the right year. When the Marijuana Tax Act was introduced. Can you just double check me on my dates? Because I could be completely wrong. But cannabis has only been illegal. I keep using air quotes today.
1937.
1937. Since 1937, when the Marijuana Tax Act was introduced. And actually, that didn't make it illegal. It just made it impossible to maintain legality. So the tax was so high that it was impossible to legally, have cannabis in
And that's where we're getting at. Every single time they look into this, they're looking at cannabis as this cash crop, and they are looking at it to tax the crap out of it because they see the money that is coming in and they're working. We thought, oh, we've gotten so complacent. It's been however many years that we've been doing this. They're not going to, no, they have been biding their time to see how much money that this shit is going to bring in. And now they're going to come in and tax the crap out of you. They're already trying to raise taxes in Colorado for adult use. Mm-hmm. They're already trying to, and then this just all rolls into one more thing, taxing on the dispensaries and their licenses, taxes on the, locations and the real estate. And soon we are priced out of this market again. And soon we are all back into a black market situation. So
illicit market or underground market is what I would
apologies.
You can see it makes us angry.
And if you tune into our show regularly, you will hear these things over and over because we believe that repetition is key, that eventually it will stick with somebody, one person, 10 people, whomever it's shared with, and eventually, hopefully some actions will be taken within each community. So stick with us, share it to more people. Let us know you're tuning in and
share it to your lawmakers,
and that we're heard, and that you want to be heard.
They need to have at least one. No, they need to have at least two people on their committees. All lawmakers need to have at least two people on their committees that know something about cannabis.
And there are so many people. So it's not like they can't say, oh, there's nobody available.
We're available.
We're all available.
Look, right here, 970-426-5985. I'm available. I cost money, but I'm available. You paying people on the committee anyway, you getting paid? I want to get paid too.
So another little headline kind of to do with the science of cannabis. So the World Anti-Doping Agency is reviewing the marijuana ban for athletes following the pushback on Richardson's suspension. So this is an article from the 14th, just yesterday. And it's saying the WADA will conduct a scientific review of marijuana next year. Can we please?
Yes. Who is this?
To determine whether it should continue an international ban on cannabis use by athletes. The policy became a major focus this summer following the suspension of Sha'Carri Richardson and from participating in the Olympics over a positive THC test.
Garbage.
The organization's executive committee on Tuesday said it had accepted a recommendation from a drug list advisory board to re-examine the science on marijuana, which could inform a potential policy change.
Again, the science is there. Y'all can read it.
Panel agreed to conduct the review following receipt of requests from a number of stakeholders. It didn't name those stakeholders, but numerous athletic leagues as well as lawmakers and the president have suggested that the international ban for athletes should be reconsidered. The organization added that cannabis will remain prohibited through 2022 while the review is underway.
Well, that's stupid. I'm just going to say that. Like, again, you guys, there's plenty of research.
There's already science. Yes, exactly. There's already science out there.
You guys, they're denying that they're like, we need to research it. Read it. Just read the science.
Talk to the athletes that have used it to heal from their brain damaged football injuries and traumatic brain concussions.
This is a big deal in football, too, for real. This is a big, big deal in football.
We're demanding, such entertainment from these, as entertainment from these athletes, that they're just these superhuman heroes that can just do everything is what people put on these humans, right?
Yeah,
these athletes. And then to deny them capability to use a medicine the way that they need to heal, they'll allow them to inject themselves with all sorts of things and steroids and, there's within reason you can't use certain, performance enhancing drugs, that'll make your muscles bigger. But
first of all, is anybody in the comments ever run faster because you was smoking? Because okay, let me just explain to y'all. We work out
only because my knees don't hurt and my body doesn't hurt because I use cannabis, so I can run faster.
But I just want to say what happened. Let me tell you what happened this morning. So I have been I work out almost every day. And I've been coming onto Discord to do it, and, you know, just to hang out, because we like to do a morning sesh anyway. So I'm like, kill two birds with one stone. And hey, if I motivate somebody, that's a bonus too, right? So me and MJ are working out this morning. I'm not kidding y'all. 4 sets of 11 on all of my exercises. That's all I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I do. I don't do a whole lot. It took us at least 2 hours. We kept stopping to smoke.
We smoked.
We weren't doing it faster. I mean, we were getting it done for sure, but you know what I'm saying?
But again, cannabis enables us to perform at a different level. If I weren't able to use cannabis every day in the way that I like to and want to and need to, no, would I be able to do all of the activities that I like to do? Not without pain.
I just want to say that my workout was not in a scheduled time slot, and anybody watching that thinks I do anything else slow, just bring it down a notch. I show up on time. I do my job in a timely manner. So 970-426-5985. I'll prove it to you. Don't worry about it.
We do it right.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
So Richardson herself last month said that she's hopeful that her suspension from participating in the Olympics after testing positive will lead to an international policy change for athletes. And she says she would be blessed if that happens as a result of her punishment. So the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency expressed sympathy for Richardson and asserted that the rules on cannabis for international athletes must change. The White House press secretary also suggested that it may be time for a reevaluation of the cannabis prohibition.
So your sister's in here telling us that she lost the last 3 races since she got busted for consuming cannabis.
Right, because she's probably not been able to use it.
Right, so she's not able to use it. She was consuming cannabis, I believe, for depression, I want to say, because her mother had recently passed and she's grieving. And I use cannabis on a daily basis for depression. So I get that part. Can I just tell you how much I have to push myself harder to get that workout done when I'm like in my depression, when I'm, you know, suffering with the symptoms of that? It's much more difficult. And when I use cannabis, it helps me come out of that. I also microdose, the fungus among us. So I use a couple of different plant medicines for my mental health, but I think it's really, I mean, again, I say this all the time, cannabis has been illegal for a shorter time than has been illegal for a shorter time than it's been legal. So cannabis has been legal for a very long time. And then there's that short period of time that we're kind of living through right now where cannabis prohibition still exists. So you know what I'm saying? Just have faith, I guess. And with that, also, there's plenty of research out there. Raphael McCullum does a lot of research on cannabis, cannabinoids. He does use synthetic cannabinoids to do some of the research because it's necessary. Oftentimes, there's not enough of a test sample that can be extracted directly from the plant for a lot of these cannabinoids. So there is a synthetic created for that purpose, to study the cannabinoid and kind of understand it a little bit better. He's not advocating for us to be out here creating synthetics to use in lieu of the natural plant. He's uses synthetics to study the plant, to create a larger sample, to create a larger
effects of it. Yes.
And I had said that, you know, there's plenty of research and evidence that it can treat and even cure cancer and put cancer patients into remission. But in the United States, and with the research that we have access to, or free access to, or knowledge that we have open access to, our solution for cannabis is Rick Simpson oil. And the dosage goes 90 grams in is it 60 grams in 90 days or 90 grams in 60 days? It's 60 grams in 90 days. It's 60 grams in 90 days because you got to start low and go slow. So you start low. You start with like a half a grain to a full grain of rice. If you're an adult, if you're working with a child, definitely work with your physician, blah, blah, blah. all the caveat with that. And you're going to want to go with a lower dose. But the whole purpose in the beginning is to start building your tolerance and building what you can take into your body. So you want to start with a half to a full grain of rice. If you take it with an edible, it's going to react like an edible. So it's going to take at least 30 minutes up to an hour to 2 hours to start to onset for you. But you can use it as a sublingual and rub it into your gums, and it'll take effect faster. Start with that, and then every 4 days you increase by half. So if you start with a grain of rice, 4 days, you do that for 4 days, and then the next day you increase by half. So you take 2 grains of rice until you get to a full gram a day.
Hold your nose if you're doing it as a sublingual, because you got to deal with the taste. Woof. So just hold your nose, suck it up, and like bring it to benefits.
And you want, and like I know we're limited in our selection inside of dispensaries and also producers. We have to try to do better about that. Remember the reason why we do this, right? We want to heal the people. But having said that, you want an RSO that has as many plant cannabinoids as possible. You want as many phytocannabinoids in that RSO as possible. So the point of the RSO is to pull, like the recipe is to pull all the cannabinoids out of the plant and make them accessible for us to consume. So Rick Simpson gives that recipe away for free if you are a home grower and produce enough plants to create it. If somebody tries to sell you the recipe, they are not Rick Simpson. He is very much against that. What's up, Margo? And yeah, you can get it in dispensaries, but again, it's going to be limited to probably THC and CBD, most likely. I've seen CBG and CBN in a couple of products, but not many.
Not very many.
I don't think we were expecting to get into that conversation, but I mean, if we're going to talk about the research and the synthetics and all that stuff, I mean, we got to share the educational parts too.
For sure. So. Real quick, just to wrap up this last bit about athletes and cannabis. As of right now, NBA policy, they have a temporary policy not to randomly drug test players for it amid the pandemic. And it may become permanent, but this is the fun little statement, and I don't agree with this. Rather than mandate blanket tests, Commissioner Adam Silver said the league would be reaching out to players who show signs of problematic dependency, not those who are using it casually. You don't know what that means.
I mean,
I know what it means, but
wait, because devil's advocate on this. Okay. I feel like, first of all, I think cannabis is not physically addicting. Let's just start there for everybody watching anybody who's not. Yeah, I'm going there. So I want to start there. Having said that, there are people who do have dependency issues with cannabis. Dependency issues being they're unable to hold a job. They're unable to maintain their relationships. It has caused problems in their life. You can have an unhealthy dependency on going to the gym. Okay. So let's just be clear about what that looks like. But I think what your sister is saying right here in the comments, that this is going to be a tool to discriminate. I think it's going to be a tool used to discriminate. I don't think, like, what do you mean problematic dependency? Does that mean I'm not showing up for practices, or what does that mean? Like, what is that? What does it mean? Yeah. Well, and also, do I show up high, and am I playing at my best, or I'm not playing at my best, right?
Or am I using cannabis and I'm still going to test for it, in other forms? So that's the thing, is that it doesn't matter how we consume it. If we are tested for it, it's going to show up. you know, and so whether it's
so like if you say, oh, I feel like you have problematic use, but I used it like last weekend, it's still going to show up because I use it every weekend. So it's in my system.
Or I use it as a transdermal, you know, topical that
during the week when I don't have practices.
When I'm not, or when I am in practice, I'm using a transdermal.
Right. I want to say about transdermals is that I always warn that there's a potential for feeling those psychoactive effects, but in all honesty, I've never had a patient report that ever. Those are in such low doses that they don't cause that effect. And also, if you're using any type of cannabis that you got out of a dispensary, it has to have THC in it. So it could be a low dose of THC, but still that's showing up in your blood test because you're using a transdermal today.
Yes. I have patients that say that they do not get psychedelic effects, but they may feel an absence of pain. And so that gives them a little bit of euphoria because they haven't felt that in a while. So,
yeah,
you know, there's
this right here. I want to put this up on the screen. Trigger warning. Sorry. Trigger warning. Domestic violence. Okay. I want to put this up on the screen because never do they talk about problematic alcohol use. This is what happens.
True statement.
When we have a toxic individual who is also consuming alcohol. What do we do about that? Then they're still allowed to play unless she dies and ends up in their trunk. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Trigger warning like a motherfucker. I'm so sorry. But like seriously, that's really, don't talk about cannabis that way because never have I ever. You know? I mean, cannabis by itself, I don't know. I haven't run into very many, unless they're just problematically, you know, angry and, you know, belligerent in general. As a human being, cannabis doesn't make you like that. It brings you off of that.
Agreed. I don't know. I haven't had anyone. We do have a question on our intake that says, is in any way does cannabis make your life worse and your symptoms worse, your conditions worse? And I don't think I think I had one person kind of respond in a way that they would get unmotivated because they weren't using the products properly. And right. They stated that. They're like, I get unmotivated because I don't use the products properly. Mm-hmm. And they're not documenting the products and what they're using. So they can't say, oh, this one, you know, maybe I should use that in the evening because it, you know,
yes,
sets me down a little bit. And this one I should use when I am getting ready to go, you know, have to function. And so
go for a hike. Go for a hike.
Go for a hike, exactly.
Well, this is my problem when we talk about how doctors are diagnosing people with cannabis hyperemesis. I never say it. Yeah, thank you. I never say that word right. How they're diagnosing it immediately without testing the cannabis, without knowing where the cannabis came from, without knowing what's in the cannabis. They're just automatically blaming frequent cannabis use. Yeah. So far, I have not had any issues, and most people do not. It's a very small portion of the population that has any of these issues. And when I've asked a couple people about it that have been diagnosed, if they got their medicine off of the regulated market, they didn't.
The couple that I've,
I mean, some people might have. I don't want to say it's not, but
right. I'm just the couple that I had. You know, I had someone ask me about a patient that wanted to, you know, get a little more information on it. And when we were talking about it, I said, well, did they ask them about anything else that was, not necessarily cannabis, but did they look at other factors? And he's like, no. I was like, well, I would suggest that your friends start doing a treatment tracker, tracking what products that he's using, how he's feeling when he's, feeling these symptoms. Cause he said it's not every single time. And so that's one of the things when we talk about the hyperemesis is that it's supposed to be that every single time you use cannabis, you are part of it. You're getting the adverse reaction.
You got to take hot showers. I like hot
we're
showers.
Saying that it's supposed to help it, right? And
I don't want to be sick, but I like hot showers.
And so we're talking about our ECS system working against us, and what happens, and how is there a reset button? I guess is my question.
That's always been my argument. Is that all of the symptoms that you are claiming that cannabis is causing are all symptoms that cannabis relieves.
So it kind of really plays with the brain. It's more, for us, we can sit here and talk about it like this, but for those that are not even familiar with cannabis, or those even that are, we're talking, again, this question came from like a deadhead who's been smoking like half his lifetime, right? For longer than we've been alive. And he's like, all of a sudden they're telling me I'm allergic to cannabis.
Yeah. What? How?
And so again, when this goes for all diagnoses, get a second opinion, talk to other people, look at other options. Allopathy is only one way to look at your health and your body. And so there's,
would you like to give the definition of that word for the viewers who don't know what you're talking about?
Allopathy is just a medical doctor. Then you have doctors of osteopathy, which are DOs, and you have nurse practitioners, you have naturopaths. So these are all medical professionals, and they're all qualified in different ways because of their schooling or their certifications. They're board certified, and so that means they took additional schooling and testing to actually be specialized in things. And so there are so many MDs that'll just throw something at you. They're not really looking at your chart. They're looking at a patient number, and they're scooching you on your way.
Yep.
Find a doctor that cares. I know it's hard, but take your time to do your due diligence. Be patient. Be kind to your physician. Be
your own advocate, because nobody else is going to advocate for you like you advocate for you.
And your physician should also be advocating for you. Yes. And so if they're not, then that's your cue to go find someone else. And talk to someone else. There are advocacy groups that help patients that can't advocate for themselves. So seek out support groups that might, specific to what you have going on, because the healthcare industry is a, cesspool of bullshit.
I just got an alert on my ring that said there's a mountain lion in your hood.
In your hood.
In the hood. 2 minutes ago, 0.5 miles away. Dang.
That's crazy. I'm glad we don't get notifications. I mean, I do have a Facebook group
keep Nugget in the house
like that, but yes. And people do post about that all the time on the groups that I'm in, and everyone, in the comments jumps in, is like, we moved into their area. And it's like, dumbasses, we know this. They're telling you, watch your animals.
Don't let your dog out.
Don't be the assholes that like, my animal got eaten by a mountain lion. Well, you got warned on Facebook, and you were told everyone that this is their territory. Like, watch your animals and your kids and yourself.
Shit. That's scary shit. But I want to say about CHS, I want to say also that I've read, and I need to find them again because I can't find the articles where I've read, but I've read several articles where they talk about azadirachtin toxicity. Azadirachtin is the main ingredient in neem oil, and so if we don't flush this out of our plants, it could stick around and it could maintain itself in the flower. And it also the toxicity presents like CHS presents, which is why I just want you to test the plant. I want you to test what I'm using.
And that's why you want to document to a certain degree where, you know, when we're getting our flower from so many different sources, when we're buying from dispensaries, you know, people are, you know, dispensaries wholesale in. So it doesn't mean that that dispensary is growing their product. You know, they don't necessarily have to list that that is from another company. Most do, I think, out of courtesy or out of like building.
Yeah,
but
you know.
I've seen some not where I was like, oh, is this yours? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, cool.
Tell
worries. But at least tell me
also,
who it is so I can go look up that company to see what their, you know, ethics might be.
Right. And then we test the products for sure on the regulated market, not necessary on what's up. So not necessary on obviously underground. When you're getting your stuff from underground, neem oil is considered an organic pesticide. It's been used by farmers for centuries as a pesticide for your tomatoes and for your garden and stuff, and it works really well to keep the bugs away. But we should not use it when our plants are go into flower. We should not spray really anything onto our plants once they go into flower, because those chemicals and compounds could be maintained in the plant. And if we do happen to have to spray something as a pesticide, then we need to make sure that it's in the early days of flower, that we avoid it in the late flower stages, and that we flush, which means water your plant basically without anything in it to make sure that you get a clean plant flush. So anyways,
I read this crazy method of dunking your plant in the water when you if you had the spider mites. Like it was a like, I don't know. It was a long time ago, but yes,
there's a lot of different methods.
There's a lot of different other methods.
I would say consider organic organic predators to your predators. So bugs, consider other bugs to take care of it instead of spraying your plant. But be careful with what even the organic products could stick in our plant, and then they could cause a toxicity, you know. Shit is organic, but you're not going to eat it. So just be aware that organic doesn't necessarily mean safe to consume into your body. But we do want to use the cleanest materials and make sure that the plant is as clean as possible before we consume it. And don't listen to somebody because they wear a white lab coat. Remember that it's a medical practice, and they're still required to go to educational classes every year in order to maintain their license. They don't know everything. We could teach them a thing or two, especially if they're not, really well versed on cannabis. And I think we should work together, because I would like to see more doctors, and nurses and medical practitioners more well versed on cannabis. They teach less than 4% of the curriculum on cannabis in those types of programs, and a lot of the curriculum is based in stigma and untruths. So
correct. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. We did try to do a program like that where we actually wanted to educate the physicians, go in, do it as a service.
Can I just pause you for a second? Because there's one thing that I have to say about Dr. B, and that is that he was the most thorough. He talked to me when I first met him, and I definitely recommended you guys to patients, as one of our top. Right, we can't just recommend one doctor, you guys. It's like a conflict of interest. But anyways, he was like a top recommended physician, because when I went through his clinic the first time, he talked to me about how cannabis could be very useful in treating my conditions. But then he talked to me about how other things could be useful to me, like practicing yoga, getting acupuncture, things like that. So he talked to me about other things. And then he also talked to me about the medical stuff too, because he's educated in Western medicine. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. He is the inspiration for the doctors that I think that we need in the cannabis space.
Yes. And we tried, and we tried.
I know you did. I know. I remember.
But because of so much of the stigma, it is a little bit harder. And again, everyone has this idea that they can do it for free. They can do it online. They can whatever. And so And we wanted to do, coming from our background and helping, working with the patients and the dispensaries as a whole, to then take it from, patients to physicians and connect them in that sense, and have it so that patients are comfortable talking to the practitioners about their cannabis use. Right now, like, we have a question on is your prescribing practitioner aware of your cannabis use? And then one of my selections, I was like, are you uncomfortable talking to your primary care about this? Because, most of them are going to answer that question of, yes, just to either lie or say no. And then it is another driven conversation. But if we have the capability to say, oh, well, would your practitioner like to be educated about cannabis? And so that's what we always say, is that we are happy to share this knowledge. It is not going to, I'm happy to help doctors. Yeah, I'm happy to help practitioners get registered on the Colorado registry system so that they can do this for their patients.
Right.
We are a clinic that roll into towns that do not have practitioners available.
It's crazy to me, like.
And then they're creating a rule that patients at a certain age have to see 2 practitioners, and they have to be from different clinics.
I can't stand it. Listen, it's crazy to me that somebody who is, charged with, took an oath to look out for the best interest of their patients, would not at least look at and listen to the science. Like, isn't science your thing? Like, isn't science your thing? You're just denying science because you have an opinion about something.
Or because it was just omitted at the time that you went through your education, and now that it's available, you're still wrestling with the fact that you're federally funded, and so you can't even talk about it.
Here's the question:
your patient can't even talk to you about it.
Here's the question: is there can you actually ask Dr. B about this? And you might know the answer before you have to ask him, but if you don't know the answer, I definitely would like to hear from him about it. Are there now continuing ed classes that would count towards the hours that they have to take every year? Are there continuing ed classes about cannabis that
there are, but I don't think that they are required? So like so Kev is ECS certified.
Right.
He went through, and so yes, they have one that if you are a medical professional, then you can use this, and it would be considered continued medical education credits or something, is however they're termed. And so yes, but there are some that that do not offer that. They are not certified to give those credits or whatever. So they have to go through a process. And so yes, there are available out there, but they're not required. It is it's solely to do on your time if you want to, and it just goes towards your hours of continued education.
I think, like, from what I understand, okay, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm just this is just based on my limited understanding, is that they can choose from a selection of courses that are offered to fulfill the hours that they need to fulfill. Well, I'm basing this on what I know about what attorneys have to do, because my boss used to have to take, and he had there was like a list. You could take certain classes on certain things. And so I just wonder if cannabis education and even like a basic 101 class would be offered. I feel like that, just like a basic,
Dawn's here. Let's ask Dawn. Dawn, is the Cannation, is Dr. Regina's Cannation, is that certified credits for continued education for physicians?
It's still hanging with us? I bet she is.
Yeah,
we're talking about something she loves.
So as she's, that question's out there. I know that.
Can I just, when I was teaching the dispensary agent training class, I had doctors and nurse practitioners come to the class and learn so much in that class that they had to go learn more. Like they didn't, if that's what you do, when you love learning about medicine and stuff like that. So they left my class with a basic understanding of cannabis and cannabinoids and terpenes and how the plant functions and everything. And then they went and expanded that. And I feel like just getting not making, but getting all doctors into just like a basic, like I'll teach it 101 class, something that they could just.
I think too, what's, the idea, and what some physicians hesitate on is the whole idea of not knowing how medicine works, and some of that as far as like when patients ask for a prescription, when patients are told how much to take immediately every day at what time and how many times a day, we are not allowed to give a prescription. It is a recommendation, or I am me speaking as I'm not a doctor, but practitioners that are recommending cannabis are not allowed to give a prescription, which means a dose
in any state, in any legal state.
And that means a dose and a dose and a recommended how many time period or whatever that is.
So that's in, just to clarify, that's in any state. They have to give like a certification or a recommendation. They don't ever call it a prescription. And that's because of the federal law. So federally, it is still a Schedule 1. And Schedule 1, according to federal law, it has no medicinal use or purpose. And therefore, you could not prescribe it as a doctor. Sorry, go ahead.
I definitely want to get a little follow up and meet up with Dr. Regina again.
We'd love to have her on the show, her to talk about this.
Yeah, actually. She's amazing, and she's also in Oklahoma, so we should roll through there.
Let's go back. Let's just go. Let's just go.
It's gonna start.
We came to talk about cannabis. Do you have time? Do you have time to talk to us about cannabis?
But she does offer the ECS therapy Canation course, and she's a cool chick.
Do we have a website where people could go look at her course?
I'm sure I could find it real quick.
Just show up on her door, like no offense to Jehovah's Witnesses, but we could show up. Like, do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior cannabis?
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. Y'all, if y'all don't think cannabis is God, I don't even know what God is. I don't know. Savior, that's what she is. And God is a woman, and also Jesus wasn't white. Sorry. What's the show if I don't ruffle a few feathers, huh? I don't think I ruffled anybody in here's feathers, honestly. I think everybody in here is pretty much on the same page.
Oh, Donna knows.
Okay, so I also can we send that to our email or put that in our email so I can click on that as well? Because I actually want to take that course.
I would too. We should enroll in it together.
Yes, absolutely. The endocannabinoid is so interesting. I was just actually sharing some information about it with a friend earlier today, I think. So there's so much that we can learn from that. You guys follow us on TikTok at TCCP. You can also follow the High Council, which is I'll be posting on there tomorrow a little information about the ECS. I don't want to say it here because I want you guys go view the video. It's the High Council 420 is the page that you can follow there. I'm Canna Queen DGO everywhere I go, and you can follow me everywhere. MJ, where are we following you? Anywhere?
Just on the TCCP.
Yeah.
That's the only place where, Lady might have a Lady Eats page one day, but no, I don't have any personal socials that I share with public peoples.
I made her come here and be on camera.
And so I don't TCCP and our Instas there. So Instas and TikToks. And then if you find me otherwise, good luck to you.
Good luck.
I have a
holla. Good luck finding her. I literally make her do social media, you guys, but she's getting better at it. So there's that. But I'm like, we can't be here doing this thing without being there doing that thing. And speaking of that thing, and I don't have it pulled out. Here it is right here. We are going to do a giveaway when our TikTok page reaches 1,000 so that she can go live with Canna Queen from there. So help us reach 1,000. I know that means that we have to actually put out more content there. And just in fairness, we do have videos and sounds saved that we are going to put out. We're just
but we do have other, we do work for our
yeah, like we're just a little
right now
bit,
we are not making money through the Cannabis Closet, though we would like to, and our education through CQLLC.
We're there.
But
We're
we are for hire for cannabis education, and until then,
listen,
we have
some of
to.
y'all are high and mighty about the education in your staff, and I can tell you, you need to read your reviews, and then you need to call me. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm only saying what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
When we reach 1,000 on TikTok, which is at TCCP, and again, we will work on putting out more content and making time for you. I think that we make time for the things that we find important, and I'm starting to understand that about how people, treat us and interact with us and things. And if this is important to us, then we're going to make time for it, and it is very important to us. So we're going to make more time for our TikTok page, even though TikTok doesn't like people like us.
The crap out of us.
Even though they censor the shit out of us.
So it's going to be less of our, shaking the shit up. We always shake the shit up, but we have to be.
We're going to do more sound stuff.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit more careful about our cannabis consumption.
So we'll also work on posting some better content that is more cannabis related onto our Instagram page as well. We do need to work on our social media. You guys can hold us accountable, absolutely, and we would appreciate that. When we reach 1,000 on TikTok, we are going to do a live giveaway right here on our live channels. So we're on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch right now. We will do a live giveaway of this beauty right here. We have not named her yet, him yet, her, non-binary dinosaur yet, and they. We have not named them yet, but we should. And it does have a banger in a bowl that goes with it. So you can smoke grass or you can smoke wax. Either one works either way. I actually prefer to have separate pieces for my grass and separate pieces for my wax. That's just my preference. But you do what you do. This is a really amazing little piece. It came from Daily High Club. Shout out Daily High Club. And we're going to do this as a giveaway once we reach 1,000 followers on our TikTok. So we will do our part to get you guys engaged. Y'all do your part to get other people engaged, and let's make this happen. And
you will have to be present on that drawing date to win. So just so you know.
Yes, and we'll talk about it a little bit on our TikTok.
Share and again, keep you engaged on the TikTok.
Absolutely, we're gonna do better. You guys gotta hold us accountable. Like, where the fuck you guys at? Yes. That's well, we're here and we're doing our best to, be more timely and to block out our time a little bit better. But it did take us 2 hours to work out this morning. It was a leisurely morning.
But you know what? I had a list of shit to do today, and you know what? I got my shit done on my list. So
I had a list of stuff to do today, and I actually got that stuff done also. My list I don't think was very long, but it was long enough for today, and that's enough for me. So we got some emails sent out today. We got some work done outside of the closet.
We missed.
Oh, did we miss it? Dang it! We always miss it. Dang it!
It's 3 minutes.
Hey,
we should set an alarm.
Somebody needed to holler at us. Is anybody on the West Coast right now? It's 4:20 on the West Coast. 4:23
on the West Coast.
4:23. They should remind us because we're stoners. But hey, I'm gonna wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna heat up the Dr. Dabber. So that's what I'll do.
Yes, I will pack a freshie.
If you guys want a Dr. Dabber link to purchase one, I will give you one if you shoot me an email. I'm not going to post it in here. I don't have a discount code anymore. So basically, you just be helping a sister out. If you want one, get one and use my link. And that way I get paid too. That's all. I'm posting the voter suppression episode, which was Monday's episode. I'm ahead of schedule right now, so I'm posting that today. It's all set up to post. That'll be posted. So you'll catch it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, as well as it's posted on all of the platforms that y'all are watching on right now too. So go check it out if you missed it the other day. What else?
Hang with us in Discord if you want to. Sometimes Discord. We're in there for just wake and bake in the morning. Sometimes
do we want to put the link in here? I'll put the link in here. Yeah. Look, we never put the link in here because we're just like, email us, but y'all don't apparently
emailing us.
Like our email.
Today was my first workout in the morning while hanging out, and it was great. It was awesome. So, but don't feel the pressure to work out if we are working out. Like, just we are baking as well as we are working out. So, just saying, come hang with us in the Discord. We also just hang out, do work.
Yeah, sometimes we hang out and do work, and then you guys get the skinny on what's going on behind the scenes kind of thing. And also sometimes we listen to what you have to say, and your input is very important to us.
We just we like to sesh. We just jump on and sesh and chit chat.
That's a temporary link. That link is only going to last for 12 hours, and it's only good for 10 people. So jump on it.
Yeah.
What else is going on? I think we talked about some real shit today.
I think there was one other thing on I was looking at Marijuana Moment earlier as well.
We didn't even cover all the stories I had either. Go ahead.
The Washington state activists are announcing their 2022 drug decriminalization ballot campaign. This was released 6 hours ago, so I didn't even have time to read it, but I'm assuming it's in response or kind of to align with what just was kind of being reviewed for federalization. So,
well, I got a couple of articles. I just want to read the headlines and give you a little breakdown. First of all, this is from NORML. So if you guys want to check out norml.org, definitely check that out. First of all, Virginia Botanical, that's flower, y'all. Medical cannabis sales begin. I love that they're calling it botanicals. First of all, that's beautiful. Sales of cannabis flower in Virginia begin this month when dispensaries in Manassas, Portsmouth, and Richmond. I say woo because it's part of kind of close to where I stomped. I'm not really a fan of Portsmouth. I'd like to stay out of there, but it's kind of close to where I was stomping before. So that means my friends can get legal cannabis just over a bridge, and I'm really happy about that. And Richmond received their final product approvals from the Board of Pharmacy, which is the board that is regulating cannabis in the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The state agency which currently regulates medical cannabis. So yeah, that's what I just said. So they're going to have flower soon available, and that's amazing.
Yay. I have some people in Richmond that will be excited. I wonder what the actual registration process, I'm sure it's very similar to each state's, but everyone's a little bit different of what they are requiring for patients.
Yeah.
And adult use. Yeah.
The other story that has really a great story is New Jersey courts expunge over 360,000 marijuana cases.
Woo-hoo.
That's beautiful. Good job, New Jersey. I'm not going to read this article, but you can find it on the NORML website. And then there's an update on ballot efforts, 2022 marijuana reform ballot initiative efforts. There's one in Arkansas. I know we have a couple listeners or at least probably one or two in Arkansas. Activists are working to qualify a ballot measure to legalize and regulate adult use in the state. The proposal would allow adults to legally purchase up to 4 ounces of marijuana. Is that a day? That's okay. Go get it. And grow up to 12 plants. So that's pretty good. That's beautiful, actually. Proponents must gather 89,151 signatures by July of 22. So hopefully that gets onto the ballot. You guys, look at everything. Don't just look at how it's going to benefit you maybe directly, but like look at whether or not it's going to monopolize anything, if small businesses are going to be affected. Like, can we have, cannabis is not just about the purchase of cannabis. So I'm just saying, make sure your laws are right before we vote on them. Okay. Idaho is depenalization. So Idaho activists received the green light from the Secretary of State to begin collecting signatures for the proposed depenalization ballot initiative. If qualified, the measure would allow the adult possession of up to 3 ounces of cannabis on private property, and the measure would not establish a regulated marketplace. But they also have another ballot measure that they're trying to put on. Another group of activists was also cleared to begin collecting signatures in hopes of qualifying a separate medical marijuana measure for the 2022 ballot. So Idaho might have that on the ballot. The proposal would allow qualifying patients to access up to 4 ounces of medical marijuana with a physician's recommendation, as well as permit home cultivation of up to 6 plants. That's a really beautiful proposal. Activists have until May of 2022 to collect 65,000 signatures. Again, make sure that you look at the laws. In Missouri, I know we got Missouri here because we talk about Missouri all the time, and I know you guys support us. We love you guys out there. I just want to let you know that. Legalization, similar. So I know that there's some issues about this bill, and I want to talk to people in Missouri about it since we have so many listeners. I want to get clear on what the problems are, what we like, what we don't like. Similar to the campaign to legalize medical marijuana in the state in 2018, Missouri residents could see several competing marijuana legalization measures on the state's 2022 ballot. Fair Access Missouri, one of the groups working to qualify marijuana reform ballot measures, has submitted several initiatives, and at least one of which would legalize adult use marijuana in the state. New Approach Missouri, which is a group. So if you guys want to look these groups up, definitely take a look at NORML, and you can go see what they're all about. You should know who your friends and your enemies are. I'm just saying, do your research. Don't just trust the word of people, okay? New Approach Missouri, the proponents behind the successful medical marijuana initiative in 2018, also plan to qualify an adult use legalization measure for the 2022 ballot. A new adult use legalization ballot measure has been submitted by a third group of proponents, Legal Missouri 2022. 171,592 signatures are needed to qualify each initiative by May of 2022. I would love in each of these states to have some people on to talk to us about these measures. If you guys know of anybody, and I think maybe we'll do some research this week to try to find and connect with some of these individuals so that we can have these conversations before they start coming up on these ballot measures. And then we'll record it too. That way we can replay it right before time for it to show up, or do an update on it or whatever. So this is Work Wednesday, everybody. You just got a little piece of that. That's what we do. Nebraska. So I don't know if I did that accent right. I apologize. I should not have done that. That was rude. After the 2020 medical marijuana measure was stripped from the ballot, advocates with Nebraska for medical marijuana are once again working to legalize medical marijuana access in the state in order to avoid violating the single subject rule that derailed the 2020 effort. We talked about this single subject rule happening in Idaho, I think. Was it Idaho, or was it? No, it was South Dakota. It was also happening in South Dakota. And that is that they... well, I'll just finish reading this. In order to avoid violating the single subject rule that derailed the 2020 effort, activists now plan to place 2 separate complementary initiatives on the ballot for 2022. Nebraska lawmakers consider legislation, to legalize medical marijuana access in 2021, but the bill was ultimately defeated. The campaign team has officially submitted language for 2 different measures. So what happened is they submitted the language the first time. Hey, what's up, Cannabistic? They submitted the language the first time, but I think all together in one initiative. And so now they're going to submit it separately as 2 different ballot initiatives. Check your phone. You have an article. Okay.
I know, honey. We actually already talked about it. But thank you. I do appreciate it. We covered that.
We're going to start bringing Marla on for our sports corner. We're just going to have her come on.
That's the article that I was reading from when we spoke about it.
We're going to bring you on. Can we start bringing you on for our marijuana sports corner? Just
yes.
We got cannabis sports corners over here. Okay, so they're gonna submit it, and then they're gonna need the signatures. Again, you can read all of this on NORML.org. July 2022. We're going a little bit over what we had planned, so I just want to kind of get through these. North Dakota, a group of North Dakota activists are collecting signatures for adult use. 2022 initiative. The measure would allow adults to legally possess and purchase marijuana from retail outlets, as well as grow a limited number of cannabis plants. It hasn't said how many. A separate group made up of proponents behind a failed 2018 legalization ballot will be working on this. They're going to have to collect 27,000 signatures by January. So that's coming up very, very, very soon.
Yep.
Ohio is the coalition to regulate marijuana like alcohol. That's a mouthful. Have submitted an initial slew of signatures in hopes of qualifying a statewide ballot measure that would push lawmakers to enact adult use cannabis legalization in Ohio. They have to collect signatures by December of this year. Lawmakers will have 4 months to enact the reform. If they fail to enact it, they'll have to get an additional signatures. So they have to collect 132,887 signatures. They will have to double that if the lawmakers fail to act and collect those by July. So if the lawmakers fail to act, then they have to go back out and get more signatures. Anyways, crazy. Oklahoma, a group of activists is working for adult use measure. The same group of activists is also working on a separate ballot to initiative to amend the state's current operating medical marijuana program. It would transform the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority into the Oklahoma Cannabis Commission, an agency that would be responsible for regulating all legal cannabis products in the state. And it would fund research programs, mental health services, and law enforcement training.
The first one called cannabis program versus marijuana policy.
Yeah. Listen, I enjoy the language changes. You guys know that. South Dakota legalization, we kind of talked about that the other day. They're trying to get Amendment A back on the ballot. There's some court issues with that. Their governor is fighting against them. And legalization has over 70% approval rating in the state. So they're trying to overturn the will of the people out in South Dakota. We talked about that in the last episode, and I urge you to listen to it. And we're going to be posting that today on all of our other platforms. Last one is Wyoming. Decriminalization is on the bill, or they're proposing it. They've started getting signatures to remove the threat of jail time for adults who possess up to an ounce of cannabis instead imposing a fine. It's still bullshit, but it's better than going to jail. $50 for the first, 70 and second, 75 for anything else. If you're caught growing, it's a $200 fine. Medical cannabis is also being discussed for the ballot. For a ballot initiative. It would permit qualifying patients to access up to 4 ounces of medical cannabis flower and up to 20 grams of medical marijuana derived products per 30-day period. Okay. Patients would also be allowed to cultivate up to 8 mature plants at home for therapeutic use. I love it. So that's in Wyoming. So if you know anybody in any of those states, or if you want to read up more about it, you can check out NORML.org. That's where I got those stories from. Very interesting.
Yeah. Speaking, or just another little headline on marijuanamoment.net. Mayors across the U.S. push Biden and Congress to legalize marijuana.
Yes, I saw that.
Focus on racial equity. And so, so this organization represents mayors of cities across the U.S. passed this comprehensive resolution as part of its 89th annual meeting last month. It notes that the U.S. government has owned a patent recognizing the medical value of cannabis and cited statistics about the racially disparate impacts of criminalization. The cannabis industry is likely to become a global multi-trillion-dollar industry, which early U.S. sales already generating billions of dollars, the organization said. But the mayors emphasized that people from communities targeted by prohibition enforcement are underrepresented in business ownership and state legal markets, and that cannabis equity initiatives that use race-neutral qualification standards in states and cities across the country have so far failed to create equitable market participation and leverage the benefits of diversity. So these are this is a group of mayors saying, hey, let's do it and do it right.
Yeah, like, let's stop with the bullshit language that you're putting into these bills and actually do it right. And actually just do what you say you're going to do and do it right. Do it correctly, because you know how to do it correctly. Stop bullshitting right now.
So to that end, the group is calling on Congress and President Joe Biden to remove cannabis, specifically Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, and its derivatives from the Drug Enforcement Agency's list of controlled substances, to end criminal penalties for cannabis possession and use, and to automatically expunge all past cannabis
convictions, no question,
resentencing and restoring all rights, particularly voting rights.
Please. Also, just a side note, and y'all don't have to agree with me on this, but prisoners should have voting rights, because a lot of the people who run prisons are elected officials, number one. And number two, so should convicted, like people who have been convicted but have served their time. They don't a lot of times get their voting rights back, and they still have to pay taxes. So that's taxation without representation, by the way. So they should be able to vote. Absolutely, they should have a say in the system that they are living in and working under, in whatever capacity they are in. Yes. And yes, I mean, I mean, don't ask me, well, what about this person? Yes. Until they die. That's the rules. Okay. You're supposed to be represented. Until you die, you should have a say. Even if I don't like your say, even if I think you're a dumbass that shouldn't have, even if I don't think that you have the brains anyways. So you know what I'm saying? I think, if you're paying taxes, though, for real, at least at minimum, but also if you're living under a system, which prisoners are living in a system, they're still alive, they're living in a system that that they have no say in the elected official that runs the place. So that guy, without we don't know what happens in that prison, right? We can't see that. We don't experience that. And then we just vote for whatever the words on the TV screen say, or whatever the little pamphlet, or whatever party that I'm cheering for. Stop treating I know I'm going off on a tangent, but stop treating our political system like a fucking football game. It's not a football game, okay? It's like literally our lives are at stake here, and you're treating it like my team won. Fuck your team. I don't. Anyways, point being, prisoners should have.
Muted. I was actually saying something and my mic was muted because there was a chopper going over, and I had it.
Oh, the chopper cut me out. Okay, so I just went off on a tangent about that. I apologize. It happens sometimes. I have very strong beliefs. So, you guys, what else? Anything else? Did I go off on a tangent and we lost our train of thought? Were we talking about something else that we needed to finish talking about before we left?
I don't think so. That was just, we covered the headlines in each state. There is support by your representatives for cannabis, so hold them accountable. So that was I guess just our to wrap all of that up. I don't think there are really any. I mean, there's always headlines. There's
I mean, we could talk all night, but also we have things that we have to do. So I say, I'm gonna finish. Look, y'all corner your bowls. This is a touchy topic. Do you corner your bowls? I corner my bowls. So I've been smoking on this one. It's halved now. What, did you see something fall? It's halved now.
I have randomly been able to make like art with my bowls burning. Like I've made a Miss Pac-Man, and I made a heart. That's and I made a Ninja Turtle. I mean, this is all just like it looks like it, like it's fucking clouds. But yeah, you know.
Here's the thing. Let me tell those of you who don't corner your bowls how much of an asshole you look like when you're in a circle. Just make it a practice. Also, that makes your greens last longer for yourself. But if you make it a practice, then when you get in a smoke circle, then you don't look like a jackass who burns the whole bowl and passes it to the next person. If
you are going to blaze the whole bowl down, then repack it. Just saying.
I'm like, if you don't do this,
you know, again, depending on the size of your circle, be respectful of your circle.
Everybody, listen. If there's
everybody learns. Don't. I mean,
if there's two to four, if there's 2 to 4 individuals in your circle, then those 2 to 4 people should all get a little bit of green.
I agree. There is the capability to do 4 people getting greens.
Mm-hmm. Also, be careful because I still play by COVID rules a lot of times too.
Yeah,
I say that. I say I'll be outside of. This is a very loose terminology when I say this. I'll be outside of the club in Durango. Come on. But anyways, I'll be outside, you know, doing my thing. Nothing illegal, really. But anyways, I've had people come up to me and be like, oh, let me get some of that. And I'm like, nah, bro, COVID rules. I don't know you. Like, we can't. I don't know your status right now. We don't live together.
No, I don't know you.
Yeah. So,
COVID rules.
But when you get the last quarter, you got to just roast the whole thing over.
Well, yes. Yeah, I mean, yes. You have the permission to blaze that bitch down the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But not if you're the second person. If you're the second person and you just blaze that whole bowl, go ahead and repack it.
Go ahead and repack it with your shit too. And it better be good. Don't be showing up with no... Don't be showing up with the stems and the seeds and the shit.
I think that our people that are tuning in are very well of circle etiquette, but it's always fun to talk about. I mean, I'm sure we could have a whole conversation on circle etiquette. I mean, or just circles in general. Like we've had so many fun, like just
don't be bringing mids to the party, Missouri.
People like pass it, you know.
Look, this is just a joke because it's a joke in Missouri, but don't be bringing mids to the party, Missouri. Don't be bringing your Missouri mids to the party. There was this whole discussion when I first visited out there about Missouri mids and whether or not they were worthy of being. And then some people were like, "Oh, well, they're so good." I don't know. I don't know where I'm gonna sit on the fence on that. Because honestly, everything that I've been given in Missouri has been really top notch. I know some really excellent cultivators in Missouri, and they don't disappoint me.
I think that, yeah, I think it's regional that when we talk about, you know, what people are used to or what they consider fire or whatever terminology they want to use it for, you know, you want to use for how your product affects you. But I don't exactly. I was going somewhere with this. Oh, I do know, just like it's a slight comparison, but not exactly, is that I remember, you know, being in Florida and, you know, having meetings with my sister and getting down to like the ash end of the bowl and going ahead and starting to like poke it out because I was going to repack it. And, you know, and she's like, no, there's still something left in there.
You crazy.
And now
Town Brown.
She's like tapping out before it even hits that last. She's like,
I'm a bougie ass bitch. I ain't trying to be on the.
And she was like, because I don't have access to it like you do. And I was like, you're right. But while I'm here, I'm not hitting the ash bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and repack it for us. And she's like, all right. And so now that she's here, no longer.
Yeah, access makes all the difference in the world.
Access makes all the difference.
And that brings us full circle back to be careful about your Delta 8 products, because they are a product of prohibition and they are synthetically created, and access makes all the difference in the world.
So, we used to call our Rex Flint Brown.
I had to put that down there. All right. Well, I think that's our show. This was much more than a pinner. We said we was going to get a pinner out, and we smoked that pinner down, and then we rolled another one.
I don't think any of, when we say pinner,
we get going,
it is not the proper comparison of time. Like,
yeah. when we get going,
pinner would be a 3-minute TikTok episode.
Listen, let me ask you this: have I ever smoked a pinner? I don't know. Are the rollies considered a pinner?
No, babe. No. A pinner is more paper than there is. A pinner is more paper than there is bud.
Mm-hmm. But if you just want a little bit of a sandwich when you go over to Cheba Hut, you get the pinner.
Yes.
And if you want a little bit more of a sandwich, then you get the nug.
Yes.
And then I don't know what's above that, because I order like 3 pinners.
I think it's a blunt. It's a pinner, nug, and a blunt. Yeah.
And then there's are there 4? I thought there was 4. I thought there was like a big one. I don't know.
No.
Anyways, if you have a Cheba Hut in your area, I would suggest going and get a damn sandwich, because
I'll be there this weekend. I'll be near the Dillon Cheba Hut this weekend.
Are you going to Denver this weekend?
No, I have a clinic in Dillon.
Oh, in Dillon, they have a Cheba Hut out there. I wish I had one nearby. I would love it. I love Cheba Hut so much.
I think they're franchises.
She said pinner is some crumbs in a zigzag.
I said.
Well, we're not crumbs in a zigzag. What should we call these episodes that are supposed to be tiny but then aren't?
I don't know. It's just a session. Whether it's a short session or a long session, that is to be determined per the conversation.
I need a chiropractor. One that takes my insurance.
Good. Or just takes cash. I have a couple of chiros that just take cash.
I stopped taking my insurance, but then started charging me $20 more.
Oh, so they should just honor the price put in cash, because then they don't have to go through the hoopla of fucking.
I would come here more often and spend more money if you charged me the lower amount. I would actually spend more money if you charged me a lower amount.
I did have to deal with insurance bullshit. To be honest,
come more often. Like I would I'm like I'll turn my nose up at $50 a session, but if you charge me $30 a session, I'll come to 5 times, yeah, and spend way more money than I would have spent to get one session with you, because you charged me $50.
And that is the power of marketing. That is a marketing tool, my friends.
Know your worth, but also know your customer.
There are different ways to work that. So
I spend more money on weed than I will my chiropractor. I can't. So you'd be seeing you like that if you didn't charge me $50. Now I'll go spend $50 on like half ounce, or maybe even a little bit less, depending on where I go.
Yeah.
But
do a few more
not yoga. To crack my bones.
Do a nice little yoga flow. A couple more yoga.
All right. Well, you guys, we're gonna bounce out of here. Be nice to yourselves, because remember, you got to put your mask on before you can help others. So be nice to yourself and treat yourself kindly.
Well, yes, cultivate love. Always surround yourself not only with kindness but with love, because we all deserve it.
Yeah, and
even if you love yourself,
stay lifted.
Stay lifted.
Yubby. Peace out, you guys.